But let's go around the NBA a little bit, man, because last night you had a ton of good games on last night. And I got to start with the first one. We had the marquee matchup, a matchup that we really have rarely seen. Just the third head-to-head matchup between Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokić in like a long time. I forgot how much time had elapsed, but just like the third head-to-head matchup in quite a while between these two guys who've been ducking each other due to load management and things of that nature. But in Philly, you had the process taking on the Joker, and the Sixers won 126 to 121. Joel Embiid, 41 points and 10 dimes. Jokić had 25, 19 rebounds, including 11 offensive boards. But the Sixers, man, with the clutch 18-3 run late in this game would end up being the dagger there, man. Philly rolling 126-121. Al, what was your impressions of this game, man?
It was a close game, man. I loved watching this game last night. I mean, you got to see two MVP caliber candidates duke it out. I thought it was interesting how Jokic was guarding Embiid, but vice versa. It was Tobias Harris on Nikola Jokic last night. So I thought that was interesting. And it looked like they were deploying a little bit of the box and one at moments. I don't know, Andrew, maybe you could attest to that. I thought I saw a little bit of a box and one last night where they had Harris just floating around guarding Jokic, but hey, it was a good back and forth game. You had the MVPs making big shot after big shot when needed, but it all came down to Joel Embiid in the fourth quarter, where Embiid drilled that three to really seal the game for them when it was about at the 5 minute mark. But this is what you want to see, man, from two high caliber teams. Both of them just working out in transition, working the half court really well. If this is a finals matchup, man, this
Yeah.
will be very entertaining.
Yeah, I'm not as confident in the Sixers making the finals, but I do agree with you.
Of
It'd be
course.
nice to see the big man back, right? As a
Yeah.
centerpiece in basketball. A little throwback for you, even though Jokic, I don't even know if he's a center. I don't know what position that guy plays. But yeah, you're right. I actually also saw on the other side where they were using Aaron Gordon to guard Embiid. So I think both teams implemented a little bit of that. I think this all goes back to that it's a copycat league, and we saw the Lakers playing AD off Jokic, even though they ended up losing that series. I think, some teams like to employ that strategy, but, we see him whispering to Jokic, you're the best player in the world. And I totally agree with Embiid, even though he got the best of Jokic on this night. And the gap is widening, by the way. Jokic is the best player in the world for the simple fact that, let's say me and you have a conversation, Alex, right? Not a recording, just me and you have a conversation. Nobody could hear it. It's just me and you talking. But once we put the microphones on, it's a residual effect. People could share it. And when Jokic shares the basketball, that allows other players to share the basketball, which has a residual effect. There's more impact. And I think Jokic is different than Embiid in the sense that he makes everybody around him better. Sharing leads to sharing, just like we're doing right now on this show. This show could be shared and shared and shared because we have microphones on. And I believe that's why Jokic is the better player. And I said this before they won a championship. But shouts to Embiid. I don't see the Sixers making it there, but I do think it would be a great matchup if they did.
So correction on that stat. It's the third head-to-head matchup in the last 4 seasons. Third head-to-head matchup in the last 4 seasons. So 3 out of a potential 8 that they've played each other. And the general sentiment, which I totally agree with around the league, was like, this was so much needed last night. You had a classic game between two guys who've been jockeying for the MVP trophy for like the last 5 years straight. You finally got to see these guys play. Now, they didn't go head to head as much as you would have liked, right? This isn't the 80s anymore, unfortunately. Everybody tries to outsmart each other. You want to keep your guy out of foul trouble. But I still love the matchup, and I love to see how, Embiid really took on the challenge to show the world that, listen, he's right up there, man. I mean, 10 dimes in his own right, 11 points in the fourth quarter. He had a stretch where he had I think 8 or 9 straight points for the Sixers. I mean, that was a gutsy performance by him, and a tremendous performance. I mean, I think it was like his 18th straight game with 30 plus points for the Sixers. So I just love what I saw there. After the game, Embiid gave Jokic all the credit. He said, look, I'm the MVP of the season, but he's the finals MVP. And so Embiid basically saying, look, this is still the best player in the world. I'm trying to get to where he's trying to get to. And I thought it was a great comment because in a lot of ways it's true, right? Like the way we're evaluating Nikola Jokic right now, Joel Embiid right now, he's great, but right? There's always that but. Like, can he get it done in the playoffs? Can Philly win it? Can they get to the finals? So everybody's kind of like waiting for him to turn that corner and not really appreciating, in my opinion, what he's doing right now, which is having a pretty damn good season, man. A great season.
That's the focus on it throughout. Even on the broadcast last night, they were talking about. They said, he still has playoff woes. He has to overcome those issues, and you can just hear that. Even though it's a regular season award, this is sometimes the issue with MVP voting is that they'll go back in history. It's like, oh well, we probably should have given it to Embiid that year outside of Jokic, and now well, we can't give it to Jokic because can we really give it to somebody 3 times who hasn't won a championship yet? And it's like, let's just focus on the regular season. It's a regular season award.
Yeah.
There's a Finals MVP for a reason. With that
Totally
being
agree.
said, I mean, you look at what Andrew, I agree with your point where it's like, even when you talk about Embiid right now, it's like everyone goes back to like, look what Jokic does, and there's nobody that does it. And you look at Embiid, it's like, it's always compared to what Jokic is doing, right? It's like you talk about the numbers, even the analytical numbers, like it's not even comparable to what Jokic is doing. You talk about the playmaking, it's not comparable to what Jokic is doing. Everything is compared to Jokic, so it only makes sense that Jokic is not only the best player because he's won all those MVP awards and he is a Finals MVP, but the whole discussion even around Embiid is what he isn't and what Jokic is.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, I mean, Embiid, like Tatum's the same way. Bradley Beal's a little bit the same way. Their games are almost built in a skill development lab.
Yeah,
it's like they're very skillful, but what do they do to make their teammates better? And I think to truly be the best player in the league, you need that effect, that compound effect of just passing the ball at the right moment, making everybody around you better. And that's what really uplifts the team. It not only gives you juice on the offensive side, it gives you juice on the defensive side over time for series, So that's why I always I think Jokic is clearly a better basketball player than Embiid. And I said that before the series, but kudos to Embiid. Great performance. He showed up, he showed up.
Who outside of Jokic is another guy that elevates everybody's game?
Jason Kidd.
SGA.
Yeah, and you know what? SGA isn't the most elite passer, but he's a very good passer and does make those around him better. Like he's not a gifted of a passer of Jason Kidd or LeBron James. He does it a little bit differently, but he doesn't hold it too long. Everybody stays in flow when he has the ball, makes the right pass at the right time, and makes very good passes. I totally agree with you, CP.
He's smart. With Jokic, couple of things that's pretty interesting. A lot of people are, because they play each other next week, a lot of people are seeing, well, is he going to show up in Denver and play Jokic? Did I say Embiid or did I say Jokic? I keep mixing two guys up. With Embiid, a lot of people are asking if he's going to go to Denver to take on Jokic next week. He doesn't have much room for error because he only has 7 games left of load management before he's ineligible for the MVP. So I think you're going to expect to see. I think what Philly might start doing, and I don't know if he has more pride than to do this, but I think you might see situations like you saw last year where guy suits up, plays for the first half, and then chills out for a little bit in the second half. Like he only has 7 games left throughout this rest of the season, 49 games left. If he misses more than 7 games, he's not eligible. 65-game requirement.
Yeah, and he probably needs a little bit. He probably needs a little bit of a buffer, right, in case like a hamstring here, something small here. So he's going to want to play these games. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I would say this: what's more important to Embiid, winning the MVP or winning a Finals?
I hope winning a Finals.
I don't know. I can't speak for it, man. I don't know what's how much extra bags is that MVP, man.
Well, he went on like a podcast tour to win MVP like 2 years ago when Jokic won it. Like he was going on every podcast talking about how, they were asking questions about the MVP. It felt like he was coming out with a book or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, there's a lot of dollars that comes with being the NBA MVP, man.
That is true. That is
true.
But you got to do your due diligence.
The window for winning a Finals is also very short. So
that is very true.
Wait, are they guys? Seriously though? Can this team win a championship currently constructed? Because I believe the answer is no.
No, they can't. The Sixers needed Siakam if they were going to really be that. I think they definitely need that third guy who's a star in their own role, like an Aaron Gordon for Denver. That's what they need, somebody like that.
What do you guys think about Caruso? I think he could help them.
Not enough. I don't think it's enough.
Okay. But
think
would they
they-
be better, CP?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure. I like their depth as it is right now, man. I love their depth. I love Batum. I've always loved Batum. Marcus Morris. I've always loved Marcus Morris. I think Pat Bev. You know, they're not who they were, but they're tough, veteran, savvy. They defend. Like you need those get it out the mud guys for the playoffs. The question I have is number one, Embiid comes with his own question marks in the playoffs, right?
Yes.
Maxey as the second guy in the playoffs. How does he handle the attention there? How does he adjust, right? We haven't necessarily seen that. You know, we've seen him be the third guy, but we haven't seen him be that second or even 1B, if you want to say, in the playoffs to go get you a bucket when you need to. And then that's where I think they're going to be lacking, because if it's not Embiid, if it's not Maxey, the guy I've loved this season who's having a tremendous season, but what will he do in the playoffs is Tobias Harris. That to me is the wild card, because he has shot creation ability. He's tough. His defense has been rugged this year. He can get on the boards. Like he has that bag. Like I always labeled him like a little Dollar Tree Carmelo in terms of his shot creation ability. But 21 points in his last 10, 21-6, 52% from the field, 40% from three. Dropped 37 on the Kings when Embiid was at that game. Tobias to me is the wild card if they don't make a move.
Dollar Tree
Jeremy
Mello is
Grant.
hilarious.
Dollar Tree Mello.
Go
What do you guys
get
think? What do you guys think
Jeremy
about Zach
Grant.
LaVine? Can Zach LaVine take him over the hump?
I think he can, but Zach LaVine is also just a big wild card as well, because you don't know what
Yeah.
defensively he would need to step up. That's where it's going to come down to. Like offense, he can get the good thing about Zach LaVine is that he can actually play off ball. But the other thing is he going to be that guy that enters a new situation, say, oh, wait, I need to get my touches too. Hold on one second. Is he going to throw off the entire mojo of what's happening in Philadelphia? That would be my biggest concern on offense. Defense, he would need to step it up. That's why I think it's Jeremy Grant. I think if you're the Sixers, go out and go bring your guy back home.
Bring Tybalt back too. He's shooting better now. Bring Tybalt back.
Bring Tybalt back. That's funny. For sure, man. Another thing I think with Philly that concerns me is I think they're not effective rebounding. Last night, for prime example, they gave Jokic snagged 11 offensive rebounds. Jokic alone had almost more than Nuggets average in offensive rebounds last night. And that's just one game, but in the season overall, Philly's 27th in the league in opponents' offensive rebounding per game.
Yeah,
So the ability to limit their opponents getting second chance opportunities factors into their defense, especially in the playoffs. They got to tighten up there.
Yeah, like with the Bucks. I mean, if they went up against the Bucks, Giannis would have a field day on the boards, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, it always ties back to his team, Al. It always ties back to his team. But yeah, no, that game last night was a classic, man. I really enjoyed that one.